Irreversible Damage, the transgender craze seducing our daughters. Boy, that's a hot button subject, right? This is a minefield.
It shouldn't be, though.
No?
It really shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't be, but so I think we should probably establish some things like up front, right? Some people surely as adults are transgender.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. I interviewed a lot of them.
And we fully support that.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay.
I have friends who fall into that category.
Your concern is about very young children.
That teenage girls has nothing to do with adults who are transgender. Okay, many of whom are amazing people. They, went through mental health, therapy, and they made this decision. They suffered with discomfort in their bodies from the time they were young. And as adults, they made a decision to transition. Fully support them. Has nothing to do with my book.
What was the motivation to write this book? And if it's about teenagers, why is there a very young girl on the cover?
Well,
this is like the cover. It looks like
a little girl,
4-year-old.
Right. It does. I mean, obviously I didn't do the cover, but I think the cover is very good because I think it's supposed to evoke what we've lost in a whole generation. Well, yeah.
What is that?
I assume her uterus.
Oh, it's just
infertility.
Crazy.
A reader wrote to me. I write most often for the Wall Street Journal, and a reader wrote to me, and she said, "Listen, I've tried to get every mainstream journalist to pick this up. No one will touch it, but my daughter got caught up in this. All of a sudden, she went off to college. All of a sudden, with her friends, she had a lot of mental health issues, anxiety, depression, and all of a sudden, with her group of friends, they all decided they're trans, and she went on hormones, and this is happening to parents all across the country. Teenage girls all of a sudden deciding with their friends they're trans, wanting surgeries and hormones and getting them." For some reason, the activists who are not representative of transgender adults that I've met at all, but the activists had convinced the world that because, they object to anyone's transition being questioned, we can't talk about a mental health issue facing teenage girls.
Why are there so many teenage girls that are going in this direction? Like, what do you think is happening?
So these are the same girls that would have been anorexic, they would have been bulimic, and they are high anxiety, very precocious girls, but they don't really fit in. They come to high school and they don't have friends. They don't have a clique for them. And they're so smart and they're so lonely because they're on the internet all the time and they're with mom all the time and they don't fit in at school. And this is a way to understand their pain that they're really feeling. They're in pain, but they decide that their problem is that they're supposed to be a boy and the fix is testosterone.
And how long did it take you before you decided to commit to pen to paper on this?
So I spent maybe a month or so just hearing the reports of the parents and reading the original study. There's an original study that the book is, jumps off from, which is the Lisa Littman paper at Brown University. She's a public health researcher. Why are all the women in their 40s and 60s coming out as trans? They should be coming out. Now's their time. Now's their moment. We should see tons of women in their 40s and 60s and so on coming out as transgender. But we're not seeing that. We're seeing the same population that gets involved in cutting, demonic possession, witchcraft, anorexia, bulimia, and convinces themselves there's a problem. I think that I personally believe that there are transgender adults who've been helped by transition.
Sure.
But these girls are not being helped by transition.
Just universally?
I think as a population, yeah. I mean, that's what Lisa Littman's study showed, but also through my investigation, I interview a lot of parents. I also interview transgender youth, and they'll tell you their anxiety is a mess, their depression's a mess. Transition's not curing these girls. They drop out of school, they cut off their families. They're not living a great life.
don't think there's anything specifically that you can point to that could say some sort of an intervention chemically, some sort of if you just step in now and start injecting this body with male hormones, this is going to fix all your problems. But
Yeah.
yet it's really popular to do that.
It's really popular. These girls are getting it on their own diagnosis. So they're just going in and self-diagnosing. Nobody questions it. We now have informed consent. You can get your breasts removed with no therapist note.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So you could be a confused 18-year-old girl and walk into a Planned Parenthood self-diagnosing with no therapy at all, and they'll prescribe testosterone and you can get your breast removed?
Absolutely. You sign a form.